India has a population of 1.3 billion people and an average income of $2,100. As both of those numbers potentially rise in the coming decades, a company like PolicyBazaar can be primed to benefit. They hit the public markets here in late 2021, looking for a valuation north of $5 billion. In today's video, we are breaking down the bull and the bear case for this equity, why I love the insurance market generally and the Indian market, and a whole lot more. Stay with us.
I'm Hannah, this is Erin, and you're watching the Piper Rundown. We analyze business and culture to help you win. Today's rundown is presented by JetStore. JetStore has been providing affordable, reliable, and easy to manage data storage and cloud solutions to over 4,000 customers worldwide for more than 26 years. That's longer than I've been alive. They've been at this for so long, helping so many people, you know they know their stuff. Check them out at jetstore.com. Thank you for sponsoring the rundown.
In a similar category, PolicyBazaar has been at the bringing insurance to Indian citizens game for quite some time. Founded in 2008, they are finally hitting the public markets here in late 2021. The company is based out of Gurgaon, India, which is just outside of New Delhi. They're going to be listing on the Bombay Stock Exchange, and because I have a disgusting bias for the Western world, I'm going to be putting all their metrics, what they're raising, revenue, so on and so forth, in USD. We also know that that is the primary viewer of our channel, although we do love and shout out to all of our Indian viewers. I learned a new term while I was researching this video. Crore, C-R-O-R-E, is an Indian term for units of 10 million.
Wow.
So if we talk about the company being valued at $5 billion, which it might actually be valued above, that would be 500 crore.
Yeah.
As a valuation.
So cool. Wow, you learn something new every day.
That would also be in rupees, so it would be a completely different factor, but crore is a unit of 10 million, which I thought was fascinating. PolicyBazaar is going to be raising just north of 800 million and around $810 million in their public offering, achieve a valuation most likely north of $5 billion. In 2020, they did $103 million worth of revenue. 2021, $118 million worth of revenue. They lost $40 million in 2020, $20 million in 2021, the fiscal year ending for each of those units. But they're able to lose money in pursuit of growth because of their financial backers. SoftBank, Tencent, two of the biggest private holders of the company that is an online insurance aggregator. So they are not the insurance policy financial institution behind it. They are the meta search aggregator, someone looking in Indian markets for, say, health insurance, property insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, travel insurance, is going to be able to shop and be a smart shopper between as many as 50 different providers of those insurance products.
They're like the insurance version of like TripAdvisor or something.
I literally have Expedia as one of the comps, so thanks for just kneecapping my later point in the video.
You know me, just kneecapping left and right.
Old kneecapping Hannah.
Natural nickname.
This is going to be a new share sale of $504 million, with $300 million of the raise actually already being allocated to existing investors. That is a very subtle bullish signal. Sometimes when we look at these different raises, existing shareholders are liquidating their positions. Sometimes it's even they're holding on, or maybe they're selling, which is concerning. But in this case, they are buying more, which speaks to the bullishness. The bullishness comes from a couple of factors. The starting point is that the World Bank estimates that the average compensation for an Indian citizen is the equivalent of $2,100 US per year. That is a number that is climbing considerably, and certain geopolitical thinkers really believe that India will be one of the most attractive growth economies on the entire planet. And so if you think about something like insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, health insurance, car insurance, that is really effectively, I don't want to say a tax because you need insurance to protect these things, but you're basically skimming the entirety of the national GDP, skimming the entirety of the national economy when you have something that is so regionally specific here. So really the attractive point here, and this is coming to the bull case a little early as well, is folks that want a play in the Indian market, they're bullish on the Indian market generally, are going to see this as basically a proxy to a wide swath of economic activity that happens in this community. Also, given that this is something of an emerging, growing economy, you see these different effects when technology and the capacity to deliver a service becomes more accessible in up and rising economies, is that there's basically two models in which this plays out. And we can look to an example like China for a model of how a rollout like this happens. One model of rollout is like JD in China, which is one of the original e-commerce platforms there that's been around for quite some time. The model there was sell to the most affluent, the people that are emerging into the middle class or wealth for the first time, because they have the most pricing power. And although that's a relatively small portion of the total economy, those are the ones that have the funds with which to actually really spend a lot with you. And then as technology further reduces the cost of delivery and the long tail of the population is rising out of poverty and rising to higher wealth levels, figure out a way to do that in a very cost-effective manner and go after the part of the market that the more established breakout player has otherwise not had access to. In China's case with e-commerce, that's Pinduoduo, which started focusing on tier 2 and tier 3 cities first and then kind of worked their way up. PolicyBazaar falls more in the JD category, where they have pretty decent footing within tier 1 cities, but part of this raise is going to be helping them to build out the infrastructure to deliver insurance products to a larger portion of the entire Indian population, which counts over 1 billion people. When you consider that big of a number, they have only sold 19 million policies to 48 million registered users. So they are still just a drop in the ocean of the totality of what that economy should be expected to look like in the future. And the market for Indian life insurance, we talk about CAGR, compound annual growth rate, as a measure by which is this an attractive, exciting market or one that is not so attractive and exciting? And a 3 to 4% CAGR is basically table stakes for anything that just is growing at all or is basically growing with the general economy. When we talk about the high single digits, that's pretty darn attractive. That's something that gets us excited. Something like the Vita Coco IPO was looking at a market in the high single digits. I've seen estimates for the Indian insurance market to have as high as a 17% CAGR. And when you think about the rule of 7-10, if you are growing at 7%, you're going to double in 10 years. If you're growing at 10%, you're going to double in 7 years. We are way beyond that if that's a real number, or even if it was something reduced to the low, 12, 13%. This is a very fast-growing market, and PolicyBazaar is one of the leading players in the space.
Damn exciting. Wow, let's move on to the comp section. I kind of spoiled this a little bit, but in order to better understand any company that you are looking to invest in, it is very helpful to get a feel for the surrounding business landscape and analyze some comparable companies and competitors. Aaron, tell us about the comps.
I've been working with Hannah long enough to know that she loves to ruin things in advance. She doesn't like you to be surprised. So I doubled down on a surprise with this comp section and have 4 different sectors or frameworks for thinking about comparable companies when it comes to PolicyBazaar, because this is such a fascinating and interesting opportunity. So she didn't even get the chance to ruin it despite her desires to. The first is ACO, A-C-K-O. This is another company that has a similar platform model to distributing insurance in the Indian market. They are still a private company, but when you're looking at the actual competitors on the ground, that is one of the preeminent ones. Also, there's an IPO coming in the near-term future for the life insurance company of India. Once again, that is not a direct competitor because that is the insurer with the actual balance sheet to back up claims made for it. But those are 2 players specifically in the Indian market that PolicyBazaar has to be very cognizant of as they continue to grow. The other thing we can look at are other similar brokerage platforms like PolicyBazaar that have a similar function but operate in different markets. The Thai company TQM has a market cap of $930 million and a substantially lesser enterprise value to revenue ratio. Right now, the enterprise value to revenue ratio, if this over $5 billion valuation were to hold, would be over 40 times. That's in the neighborhood of some of the mammoth companies, the gargantuan technology companies, Amazons, Facebooks, so on and so forth. TI is much lower, TQM is much lower, less than 20 times for that company. London's Money Supermarket, with a $1.3 billion valuation, also has a similar sub 12 times enterprise value to revenue ratio. But Lemonade, the US based platform with a $3.7 billion market cap, is in that similar type of crazy 39x multiple on enterprise value to revenue. So you have a very different way that markets have valued that, also a proxy for people's general bullishness with the markets in which that insurance sale is occurring. But then you can also look at a company that is focused on the meta search. They are aggregating a bunch of providers, finding those suppliers, getting them together, making them legible, and then bringing in demand to connect to those supplies, Expedia being one of those, riding that to a $24 billion market cap, also being able to play to some degree in the travel insurance space. And then finally, just getting a temperature with the Indian market generally. It is a hot market that some people are very, very excited about. I am one of those people. And the most recent Indian IPO, Zomato, has a $13 billion market cap and has gone up 8% since their IPO. That is a lot of good comps. I feel like I did a good job there.
Good. Credit to you.
Last but not least, I want to thank me.
Way to help me not ruin it.
I am here for you.
On to the meme factor. If you're unfamiliar with the meme factor, here on the Piper Rundown, it is where Aaron and I rank the memeability of a company on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being negative memes, 3 is completely neutral, and 5 is all the positive dank memes. I can't say that I'm super excited about PolicyBazaar, Aaron. But generally speaking, it's a convenient service, helping people out, making their lives better.
That's not meme stuff, Hannah. You're getting into the business analysis. You're getting into bull and bear case with that analysis. Come on.
This is my show too. Now you're trying to ruin me.
Right.
I'm going 3.5 for PolicyBazaar. I feel like I've been sticking to the 3s lately and with a lot of companies. It is my truth.
I'm going 4.1.
Wow.
I think that there was a lot of hype around Lemonade. I think there's going to be similar hype around PolicyBazaar. I think the folks that are actually thinking about things in a geopolitical level, that are maybe short China, long India, focus on the kind of timeless battle between the elephant and the dragon. I think they're going to get excited about a company like this. I'm giving it 4.1.
Fair enough. Before we move on to the bull and the bear case, let's hear from our sponsor, JetStore, one final time. JetStore offers storage systems for private cloud hosting, video surveillance, Internet of Things, AI, machine learning, edge computing, data archiving, HPC media production, medical imaging, and even flight simulations. For more details, visit jetstore.com. They can help you with so much stuff. On to the bull and the bear case.
So I've basically already alluded to what the bull case is here. This is a play on the Indian economy. This is a way to say I am bullish on the future of India, its GDP, its economic might. But I want to put some more numbers to that to really clarify why the opportunity might be so large. So as a starting point, PolicyBazaar has less than 5% market penetration on a population of 1.3 billion people. Same thing when people talk about the Chinese economy. There are so many people, and if it really is a rising economic climate where people will be lifted out of poverty, have more pricing power, and the desire to further secure their financial lives, insurance is the product that's been around for such a long time, has a proven use case. You have no questions about product market fit here.
Right.
This is the type of thing that they will inevitably have an appetite for as their own lives grow out and the products around it. Another very interesting number though, for non-life insurance premiums, this is such a large industry that it is a meaningful percentage of total national GDP. So to put in comparison, India's non-life insurance premiums are just 1% of their total GDP. In China, that is a number of 2%. And in the US, it is 6.5%. So not only could you see greater market penetration in terms of the number of people that are purchasing insurance, but you could see an overall larger percentage of the national GDP, which is growing, make up or be comprised of these non-life insurance premiums, and they also do life insurance. So there's the bull case. The bear side is basically a couple things. Number one, it is a 42x multiple on revenue. That is already got a ton of the growth that I'm alluding to in the bull case baked into the price. So if it were to be taken higher, a lot of those assumptions or expectations would need to be checked. That type of number actually almost has baked into it potentially a double-digit CAGR, or at least a high single-digit CAGR. So you are really have to be at the far extremity of bullishness. So bearishness could basically take the form of just not being quite as excited as opposed to being so negative about industry like this. Further, if you're not as big of a believer in India, if you have geopolitical or other reasons that make you less bullish on India as an economy generally, that's going to keep you out of something like this. And finally, this will not be a winner-take-all market. Evidenced by the fact that you brought up Travelocity, I brought up Expedia. The meta search game for the aggregating of supply, while it does lend itself to having a very short list of winners, could have a multitude of winners on it. And if PolicyBazaar fails to execute in the coming years, even as a rising tide lifts all ships in this market, they might not be the best executor of the strategy on the ground. We don't have real clarity into that. They have definitely performed relatively well so far, but we don't have a ton of clarity as to how they'll perform in the 2020s.
And that's the Piper Rundown. Thank you for watching. We'd like to shout out one of our commenters from a previous video. Grego Waffles says, "Great video as always. I'm hyped for this one. Going all in, baby. No regrets."
That's my credo. No regret.
Like not even a single letter.
Good for you, Greg. Let us know how it turns out for you. Thank you for watching the Piper Rundown. Make sure you hit like and subscribe because we put videos out like this so often, and we want to grow your business brain. Don't you want that too? Thanks for watching.